Thank you for your prayers and good wishes. Last Sunday night was the leaders for Knightsbridge Baptist Church. We got together for our sort of break-up dinner, the deacons and elders, and before I went, I got the message that our daughter Bethany was in labour. But I didn't want to share that with the whole group because I thought that throughout the night everyone's going to be asking, has the baby arrived yet? Has the baby arrived yet? So I was holding on to the information, but it became a bit difficult during the evening because people were asking me questions, and it was sort of, how do I kind of dissemble a bit and get out of this one? So even Naji Riss, they asked me, "You haven't had any false alarms, have you?" No false alarms. But before the evening finished, I got news that little Isaac had been born, and so it was delightful to be able to share that with everyone there. So mother and baby are doing well. Thanks to God. Also, this morning, I also want to acknowledge John's son. John was a member of Knightsbridge Baptist Church from his Sunday school years. So, very long-term involvement. John died during the week, and it was my privilege actually to be there at the time. And with Diane, his wife, and to share in that. And so he stepped through the door in terms of eternal life. So John's funeral will be on Friday afternoon here at Knightsbridge Baptist Church at 1:30, and will be followed by some afternoon tea. So we give thanks to God for John. I had a bit of a smile to myself earlier on where David was talking about the ministry of red frogs at the cricket, and that David and his team were going to help, I guess, calm down some of the rowdier members of the crowd. And I was thinking, David, going to calm down? And so I thought, oh, well, that's just a beautiful ministry David has. And the Apostle Paul was talking about being all things to all men. And I thought David, you're just a natural for that. God didn't make you an introvert. The shepherds came. The wise men came. A choir of angels turned up in the vicinity, and they came to worship God the Father and His Son, Jesus Christ. This morning we continue our series on Unwrapping the Carols, and we'll be focusing on the carol we have just sung. O come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. O come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. O come, all ye faithful. Some of us mightn't be so familiar with the word ye. Well, it's just the old English word for you. You in the plural. I quite like the word ye, actually, that we find in this carol, because it's an excellent word. I hope we never lose that word, because it's an excellent word in Scrabble. Who likes playing Scrabble here? So, I mean, you can do so much with a ye. You can put an S on the end, or if it's your turn, X, or a T, or if you're really lucky, like year or yesterday. I guess you could put an A on the front and get I. So those not familiar with, we've got Scrabble up there, so it's a great word, ye. So the words of this carol actually take us to the heart of the meaning of Christmas. And if we follow its words and put them into practice, well, we're going to truly have a blessed and meaningful Christmas. So let's take the wrapping paper off. The series is called Unwrapping the Carols. Let's peel that wrapping paper away and see what good things God has got for us through this carol. And so we're just focusing on a few words, come and faithfulness this morning, with which the carol begins. So the carol begins with two words. O come, O come. Now, I'm not sure if O actually qualifies as the word in Scrabble, does it? Would that be allowable? I don't know. I have to look up the Scrabble dictionary, but look, that doesn't really matter. But it's worth noting that this carol begins with us addressing each other. It begins with us urging each other, encouraging one another to do something, to come and worship Jesus. I wonder if when we sing it, we sing this carol with this intent and with this meaning. So when we were singing the carol earlier on, were you singing that to your sisters and brothers here today? Maybe not. It's just can become a habit. Well, I think it's true for all of us. Any song that we sing can just be a habit. But this will intend, it's sort of, I can't be singing it to each other. So it's, Rachel, come and worship Jesus. And we're singing it one to another. And these words, O come, are in essence what the shepherds said to each other after the angel announced to them the good news of coming of the Messiah, the Lord. And then the angels had appeared and sung glory to God in the highest, and peace on earth to all those on whom the favour of God rests. And then the shepherds said to one another, let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about. Let's go, come. Let's go and see this Jesus, the Lord, and adore and worship him. And we see that in the carol, the call to come is directed to the faithful. That is, to all who have faith in God and become followers of Jesus. O come, all ye faithful. Faithfulness. These are important words. Paul lists faithfulness as one of the fruits of the Spirit. And in this day and age of fast-changing loyalties, whether it's to do with consumer brands or even relationships, faithfulness is actually an incredibly important quality to have. Now, we often associate faithfulness and loyalty with dogs, don't we? And many across the world have been touched by the late President Bush's dog, Sully. That not only during the funeral, but when the coffin was lying there in state, there was Sully the dog lying in front of the coffin. And such a picture evokes in us a positive response because something recognises in us that faithfulness, loyalty is good and precious. A faithful person is one who is dependable and reliable, even when the going gets tough. And at the heart of faithfulness is trustworthiness. Internationally renowned leadership expert Stephen Covey has written a book called The Speed of Trust. The Speed of Trust. And in this book, he states that high trust companies outperform low trust companies by nearly 300%. Now, I don't know where he got that statistic from. But even if it's a tenth true, that's really significant. That in companies, in businesses, in firms, where there is a lot of trust between the staff and management and staff and management, that they're going to be a really productive company or have a greater chance of that. Unfortunately, where there is a lack of trust, then every communication, every strategy, every interaction is undermined. And the ability of that company to move forward in positive ways is severely curtailed. Trustworthiness and faithfulness are vitally important in all types of human relationships. But how much more? How much more so in our relationship with God? There are many references in the Bible to the importance of us being faithful to God, of us being trustworthy. I began this morning by referring to the words, "O come, O come." And Jesus also uttered these words to his disciples, "Come, follow me." Just a little bit too close. Is that any better? I hope it is. "Come, follow me," he said, "and I will make you fishers of men." Come, follow me, Jesus said. Jesus also said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me and the gospel will save it." The come that Jesus says to us includes the call to be true and faithful to him, whatever the consequences. Whatever the consequences. The come that Jesus says in this context is a strong call. It's got one with great implications for how we live our lives as followers of Jesus. And sometimes the consequences can be severe if we follow Jesus. As I was preparing this sermon, I was just remembering a young woman that we knew in Cambodia who became a Christian. Her family were Buddhist, and she was cut off from her family because she had decided to become a follower of Jesus. But she knew it was worth it. She knew that the relationship with Jesus was infinitely precious and with God's people. And so when she came to be married, her parents refused to attend. But the people in the church and her Christian friends gathered around, and she had a beautiful wedding and has gone on in her marriage. Same can be true in Australia in terms of relationships. I've met many people over the years whose parents or their spouse have made it really difficult for them in terms of their Christian faith. But Jesus says, come. Come in all circumstances in life. Come and follow me. That's part of being faithful to him. That's part of our trustworthiness in relation to God. But you know, perhaps I started in the wrong place this morning. The call for us to be faithful, actually begins with the faithfulness of God himself to us. We sang this morning from the book of Lamentations, great is your faithfulness, about God. God is a faithful God. He is the one that inspires faithfulness in him, in us. I referred to Stephen Covey's book, The Speed of Trust, and he quotes an American survey in which only 49% of employees say that they trust senior management. And only 28% of employees believe that CEOs, chief executive officers, are credible sources of information. These are alarming statistics. But the Bible reveals to us that God, the ruler of the entire universe, is a faithful and trustworthy God who can be relied upon to be God, to be true to himself, who can be trusted to always act according to his nature and his character of love. Yes, sometimes that love is a tough love, a hard love. Sometimes it involves discipline and judgment. It sometimes involves the anger of God, but it is always love. The type of love that a parent has for their child, even when that parent disciplines them. Because of the Lord's great love, the writer of Lamentations says, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. And there is no greater sign of the trustworthiness and faithfulness of God than the coming of Jesus Christ. In this is love, the Apostle John writes. In this is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the atoning sacrifice for our sins. And it is this Jesus who says, come to us. Come in another sense as well. Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Jesus says to each one of us to come and keep on coming to him. It's not a once-off. It's a continuous come. Believe in me. Trust in me. Turn to me, and I will give you rest. I will give you forgiveness of sin. I will give you honour. I will take away your shame. I will nurture your soul. Come to me. And what better response is there to the come of Jesus than to say to one another, O come, all ye faithful, come and adore him, Christ the Lord. Is this your song this Christmas and in your life?